I'm Joe Scacciaferro, and this is On Location. All right, today, two special guests. That's right, two. Yep, you're getting a two for today. What I've got with me are film guys. They both come at it from two different directions, but they've collaborated, you know that my famous word, collaboration, to do something pretty spectacular. So here we go. Introductions. Josh Wells, say hello.
How's it going? I'm Josh Wells. Nice to meet you.
All right. And Rene Guercy. Rene?
Hey folks, how you doing today? Thank you for tuning in.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about is I want to start with, you both have two different careers and you've kind of blended them together, which is what you have to do in the creative industry. So first I want to just, if you can, just give me a brief background as to what your career background art is, and then we'll do that, and then we'll jump into your project. So let's start with Rene.
My career background is I'm an actor.
Brief enough.
Yeah.
You've got a pretty decent resume because we were talking before. Why don't we talk a little bit about some of the projects you've worked on and how you got to where you got to?
My first project, I started off on a web series called Money and Violence. It was on YouTube. From there, we got to deal with Lionsgate and Stars and Tidal with Jay-Z. So from the YouTube series, I graduated. I became a SAG actor. I've done Tupac movie, All Eyes on Me, BT Tales, Monster, that's on Netflix, Nicky Jam, that's on Netflix. I have a few other independent projects I've worked on.
That's awesome. I can't wait to unpack a lot of that.
Yeah.
Fans of every one of those. And Josh, yourself?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? I'm Josh Wells. I'm a videographer, cinematographer, DP, whatever you want to call it. I started out kind of just being a novice with the camera, but it turned into being a full-scale production company. I do everything from interviews and all the way down to point-and-shoot events. We just finished our first pilot, which is what we're talking about today. And I'm excited to keep building and growing my career.
You had a chance to work on a podcast, a pretty substantial podcast, very early on.
I come from actually that story is kind of interesting because that's kind of how I met Rene. But it was kind of two forks of that story. So one side was the Joe Budden Network and shooting for his podcast, shooting for State of the Culture, their Revolt TV show, and also See the Thing Is, which is one of his podcasts that was under his network that recently just left his network.
Cool. Okay, so now let's get into your project. I'm fascinated by film. It's probably the only pure art form I haven't touched in a big way. Obviously, being in production, you get to shoot on film, you get to do things on film. But you guys, as indie film producers in an episodic format, that's a reach. Just coming in cold, and you have the background, but there's finances involved in that, and there's structure involved in that. And you guys have kind of approached it in a very raw, kind of basic way, but you're becoming very successful with it. So the project is going OT, correct?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about the genesis. How did it start? And Rene, I'm going to kick it off with you. Give me that essence, how you first collaborated or decided on the idea.
Well, going OT is basically my story because I used to go out of town. Before I was an actor, I had a different past life. So I figured, all right, since I started off web series and I understand guerrilla marketing, you just do it yourself. We never had funds to do it. We just get up, and go do it. So I figure since I've been here before, it's not my first rodeo, I'll do it again. So that's how I linked up with Josh and said, yo, let's do it. I did this before.
So, Josh, when you walked in, tell me what you saw and what attracted you to put your time into it, right?
Well, so the two forks of that story was, one fork was Joe Budden, one was Rene. All of that came through a friend of mine, and she worked at Revolt and kind of introduced me to Joe. And the reason I got that introduction is because I agreed to shoot her short film for her 2 days for free. So I came onto that project for free, and she kind of introduced me to her network. At that movie, that short film, I met Rene. He was one of the actors in that film. We stayed in contact from that point, and I always remembered Money and Violence when it was popular. Pardon me if you hear my daughter, she's crying. But we worked. I was a big fan of Money and Violence prior to me working with Rene. So when I did work with him, I already knew that, oh, dope, this is a great connection that I could build. Maybe we could do something after this. I reached out to him maybe a year later, and I had my own idea that I wanted to develop from scratch, but we didn't have enough traction behind it, so it kind of fell to the wayside. But Rene already had a script that he was ready to go with, so he reached back out to me because we had already started this talking of like, yo, let's develop something, let's make something. And he's like, all right, well, since you don't really have your idea flushed out, I already have a script that's pretty much ready to go. Let's do that. And that's how I came in. When I came in, I was just super excited to be working on a actual spec with somebody that I regarded as somebody who's actively working in this industry and doing something dope. So I was excited.
That's cool. Rene, he keeps mentioning the script. How did and who did develop the script? Was that something you wrote? Was that something you went out and got done?
Nah, look, it's a funny story about this script, right? Because my background from the web series, I kind of got jaded from it. I didn't even want to act anymore. I got tired. I just got tired of it. But long story short, I started writing it, right? Then I got with my friend, and my friend was helping me write it. But everybody's life is just going different ways. So I lost contact with him. He's in LA. I lost contact with him, Patrick. So I'm like, all right, what I'm going to do now? So I'm like, all right, my friend's like, yo, you could do it. I'm like, I'm not a writer, guy. I'm an actor. They was like, yo, you could do it. So I'm like, all right. So I called all my friends. We're like, all right, let's do it. So I started writing it. From there, I got a production deal with H Entertainment, right? So now they supposed to get a writer. Listen to this. All right, so now they got a writer. Now the writer ended up getting a job with HBO. Now he can't write the project anymore. So now I had to go back to my original plan and just do it myself.
And I mean, you as an actor, you get to see scripts, you read scripts, you're doing reads and everything else. So you kind of have an idea of the structure of how it's supposed to work. You don't have a formal education in script writing, correct?
Right. Nope, I don't.
Where do you start?
I just, that's funny because the story is my story. So it's an authentic story. And the characters that's in the story are my friends. So it's just like, I remember this situation, that situation. Let me put that in the script. I just know, for example, if we doing a project together, I have Joe. All right, Joe, I'm gonna write this for you. Whatever incidents that happen with a Joe, I know exactly a Joe out of town also. So all right, boom, you playing Joe. Josh, you playing whoever. I already know the story, so I write it like that. But like you said, I don't know the right format of writing a script because there's the beginning, the end, the excitement. You got to add different layers to it.
Right.
I don't know that, so I just went by what I know, and we here.
So Josh, when you saw this, you, as a DP on the project and directing, you have to interpret the script, the vision of the script, and make that a reality of how to, actually what is supposed to be, and then bring it to the screen. And for those people who are in our audience who are, away from this area of the world, if you actually look at a film script, it is not hundreds and hundreds of pages. it is about 128 pages. They're about, depending upon the length, because if you really watch, there's not a tremendous amount of dialogue to the visual. A lot of story is being told visually. There's a lot of things happening in that you don't actually hear. You don't need to hear a duck, see a duck. So that becomes the DP/director's job. So Josh, when you're looking at what Rene wrote, what were your interpretations of how this was going to play out?
So when we initially started, we had another gentleman with us who was helping out with the directing.
Okay.
So essentially, picture this, right? The first day I come in, I didn't even see the script yet. I didn't see anything. I didn't see dialogue, script, anything. It's just day one, I pull up. The director's like, all right, this is our first day. This is what we're doing. This is what we're shooting. And he kind of had an idea of what he wanted to do visually with that shot. And we, in the beginning, it was a big thing of, can we pull off these one shots? We have a whole shot where it's a one shot where I'm leaning over a balcony. I come up. It's in the house, but it's a staircase. So I'm leaning over the staircase. We get the action coming up the staircase. I come in. We walk. They go through the kitchen. We shoot it. They come through the living room. We do this whole one shot, right? So really my ability in the beginning was just being able to capture these shots cinematically that the original director wanted. So that was my talent, or that's the hurdle I had to cross, right? So and that was dope. It challenged me a lot because maybe at that time I wouldn't have thought of doing that scene in that way. So it kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone as well. But throughout the series, we lost that director. So then I did have to take on some more of the roles of directing. But I think that helped with kind of seeing his vision. So we started to incorporate a lot of those one shots into the rest of the visual storytelling, to try to create some type of theme or a style within the shooting. But it was dope. Moving past that, we really just tried to take the script, because like Rene said, he had these scenes. Like, it would be his retelling of a story. Like, yo, we're in Maine. I'm arguing with my friend's boyfriend because he doesn't like me and he wants me to leave the house, right? It'll be a scene with those dialogue points. But now we have to take that scene, visually tell it, but also we have to place those scenes in conjunction with the whole story to make this a solid story that we can watch and regurgitate and kind of digest. So that became more of the issue. Not that his scenes weren't tight. The scenes were tight pretty much because there was a lot of action in the scenes. But now how do we tell all of these scenes in a linear format that makes sense? And that's where we spent a lot of our time in the post.
So Rene, when that's happening, I'm sorry, I'm fascinated by the whole process because I've been a writer forever. So it's easier for me to understand storytelling. And sometimes my stories start in the middle, but you said something that's so spot on. You got to know your character. Even if your character's made up, it has to be somebody in your world that that you're placing in that position. Because otherwise, it's impossible to write a good character, a relatable character, if you as the author, you as the writer, don't know who he is. So let me jump to the other side. There's so many things here that I love. You guys are doing indie. That sounds so hip and cool. And I got an indie film festival, and we're doing indie. We're not listening to that's such bullshit. Indies is a hard grind because
It is.
you're doing things with a couple of people. You're doing a scene that you're describing to me that in my head, I immediately went to, so you had a 30-foot crane that followed him up to the top, and then you had a steady cam that picked it up on the balcony, and you did a one shot as you walked through, and then there was and I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, no. He just said he leaned over with a camera, and he followed it up and came back in. Indie, that's brilliant. But
It's
that's
all about,
No,
not to cut
sorry,
you off.
man.
So when you independent, you improvise. You improvise a lot, a lot. It may look good when people watch it, but only if they knew like, oh, what you have to do. Like, oh, it just
yeah.
shows your strength and your team strength.
And that's the heart. That's the passion. If you
Mm-hmm.
love what you're doing and you believe in your project, I don't care what it is. It could be music, it could be theater, it could be whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
do it for the love, you do it for the passion. I spent my entire career. We were just talking the other day. I did a gig for free. I don't need to do free gigs. I have put
But
my
you love it.
dues in. I worked my butt off to be where I am. But you know what? I wanted to learn and I wanted to do it and I thought it was cool. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I want to be part of that. And
That's how I met Josh.
yeah,
We
That's
we
how I met him. We both did this.
worked on a free project. And to mind you, I'm already a SAG actor, so I could have easily let my ego get in the way. Like, well, I ain't doing, but it's just like I love acting, so to me it was just like, all right, there's a chance for me to play a different character, and I love what I do, so it's just like, yo, go ahead, why not? Like,
yeah, way
and then
cool.
I end up getting touched.
And
Yeah.
I could tell you, without even being there, and I know relatively little about both of you personally,
Mm-hmm.
but I could tell you on those shoots, there was like this. Everybody was down with it. Everybody was in. Nobody was stepping on anybody because that's what happens. You become a unit, and you're like
Mm-hmm.
you're there for the kill together.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry,
become a family for
I
that
got way
time frame.
excited.
Guy, we become family. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
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 I mean, we. I mean, we probably gonna get into this, but what we did 4, 5, 6 days in New York. Then we went to Maine. We shot in Maine for about 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
3 days.
About 3-4 days.
And we drove up there. We just got a rental van. We drove up, and we made it happen. Like, this was really guerrilla style. Small budget. We just made it happen with what we had. But I love that type of shit, right? Like what you said. Like, we don't have cranes and we don't have jibs and we don't have a lot of the equipment to pull off these shots. But when you watch, I wish we would have sent you our pilot. Some of our shots look super professional, and it's like I was doing professional type of shots even before we got into this, but it's like I think creating a full project and having a like, because I might shoot for this nonprofit or this school, right? And I have all these cool things, but I feel like when we put our talent together, we write a script, we shoot dialogue, we shoot action, and you mesh all of these things together, you have a product that you can actually go out into the world and do something with. Like, not don't get me wrong, I get gigs all the time from the work that I've done, but having a proprietary object that you can go sell and do things with, like, that's what gets my gears going. So like when it comes to the lack of budget or no whatever, I've been shooting like this since I started. I've been shooting with zero budget since I started. So just the opportunity to team up with somebody who's a little further ahead in the space as I am, and for me to be able to bring my vision to them or my talent to them, I'm just glad that I'm able to be able to do that type of shit. And
yeah.
that's where the fun is.
Oh, I get you. And Rene, how seeing your life roll out in front of you in a film, or seeing the scenes that you know about, how awesome is it to take it from the paper to actually bringing it out and seeing it happen? Because you're playing characters as an actor that aren't you.
Mm-hmm.
You're developing another character and you're living in that character. But when you're here, it's you. That's got to be a way different thing than playing somebody else.
No, it is. I'll give you a perfect example. When we went to Portland, Maine, and I remind you, my past life is different from my life now. But the motel we actually stayed in when we went to Maine to shoot this pilot is the same motel I stayed in when I was doing whatever I was doing out there. So for me to be in that same space, but for a different reason, it was just like shocking to me. Like, yo, what the F? Like, how did
Yeah.
you get here? how you got here? Like,
It's a full circle moment.
yeah. Like I'm with Josh, I'm with my little cousin, and we laughing, and I'm thinking about the years I spent in that motel, like the experience. Like when I was staying in that motel before, I had to look out for police and certain things, but this time I'm around, I was carefree. I didn't care. Like I had nothing to worry about. I'm here. I'm legitimately working. Everything I'm doing is legal, so it's like it was a different feeling. But I still remember then a few years ago, I was here for a different reason, and the energy was
Yeah.
different at that time.
Yeah,
So it's amazing. Best way I could answer is like it's amazing. Like, oh shit, wow.
that's big. That's big.
Yeah.
What's the year difference between when things really happened to when you were out there, went back there? How much time lapsed?
Statute limitation is up, so it's like over 12, 11 years. That's why I'm speaking about it.
That's a great line, but that's not what I was going for. Okay, so all these scenes that you're shooting were leading to what? I mean, were you actually shooting episode 1? Were you shooting what were these scenes being done for? Josh, you're laughing, so I'm gonna let Josh go. No. He laughed first. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah. So, yeah, yes and no. We always initially started out to shoot a pilot episode, but necessarily we didn't really understand or know where that was going and how far that was going to go. Prior to me getting there, and Rene could touch on this because it's more so his story, it was in development. This story that we're retelling was in development prior to me coming around and prior to me wanting to develop something with Rene. And there were like plot points within that story, but like we kind of abandoned some of that when we started this new project, and we were kind of going in a different direction. However, after we shot the initial pilot that we shot and did all the post, we initially were looking to do a 60-minute pilot, or like, between 45 and 60 minutes. Our pilot ended around 30 minutes exactly. I think we did 30 minutes exactly. So, and also that's with us. I think we cut a few scenes, and one scene we shot and we lost the footage and we couldn't reshoot. So like with all in that, we boiled it down to 30 minutes, and we started thinking like, yo, we need to enhance this. We need to add some pieces. And really those pieces came with us looking forward and figuring out how do we want to tell this story over an 8-episode arc. So let me table the 8-episode real quick and I'll get back to it. So basically we had all these scenes. Let me even show you. So this is my little thing. These are all the scenes. We wrote all the scenes. I put them into little cue cards, and we literally had these spread out over the wall. This is like scene, scene 5, Ms. and girl pickup, and then all of these were just random scenes, just scenes. There wasn't like a timeline, like, oh, this happens first and this happens. It was just scenes. So we really had to go through and like on a wall, we would put the scenes like, oh, this scene should go first and then this scene next. Oh, but it doesn't make sense with that. If we do this, if we put this scene first, that'll kind of make more sense with this. So we really spent like 2, 3, 4 days just meshing up all of these scenes and putting these on a wall to try to figure out what the best flow for the first episode would be.
I'll put you on pause for 1 second. I'll put you on pause for 1 second.
That's kind of what we were doing. Yeah.
I get that. Rene, something came up that as we were talking here that I realized, because this is your story, and I'm talking now as a writer, because this is your story, you know the details. You know the arc. You know how this turned into that and then that turned into that. All of us as writers, when we're writing that kind of story, we forget that the audience doesn't know that. Right?
Right.
And so you go, well, of course, I left the motel And then I had, the motel scene. And then the next thing, we were down in the city and blah, blah, blah happened. But wait a minute. Why did you leave? When did you leave? What's the lead to you got to New York and all of a sudden shit's happening? Mm-hmm. And that comes from not out of being a bad writer. It comes from it's you. And those details you just don't even think to put down in paper. It's part of you. I get it. Right. I get it so much.
And me and Josh,
by the way, that's a storyboard.
Me and Josh actually had to go through that because there's time where we together and there's a scene and he was like, hold on, but how did this happen? I'm like, yo, bro, it's simple. Like, da-da-da-da, because it's my story. But then I'm like, then he's like, nah, but the audience doesn't know that. So I'm like, so we like, all right, so we got to figure out how to get the audience and how we got from A to B to C. I might just take you straight from A to C and be like, yo, B, yeah, whatever. But you need to see B also.
Yeah. So even within that, right? Even within that point, there's still nuance within that, right? Because depending on what type of story you're trying to tell, maybe you do want your audience to not know exactly how we got here. Maybe that's to be developed further on down the scene or further on down the show. And we battle with this whole idea of like doing voiceovers to kind of tie scenes together to kind of get the audience to understand what's going on. So initially I was like, we went through every single scene and we wrote voiceover lines that would tie scenes together. Like we did over the top, like every single scene. So it was too much. And right. I did that on purpose though. I did that on purpose because I wanted us to have the option to use it if we needed it. But then a lot of those points, we were like, oh, we don't need to talk right here. This is too much talking. And then we would take it out. But at least it was there if we needed it to kind of tell the audience what was going on. So we even played with that. And Rene kept me honest with that because I kind of did want to, no, we need to explain what's going on. We need to explain because I don't want them to be lost. But then if you watch certain TV shows and a lot of content, sometimes you don't know what's going on. And sometimes there's no voiceover. Yeah, and that's the style.
And that's what you have. Yeah, I'm not. Exactly. I don't want to turn this into a lesson, but if that's a style, and you have to decide up front, what style are we going to tell? Is this going to be flashbacks? Are we going to use flashbacks to fill the gap? Are we going to use voiceover as a narrative that somebody's telling the story? Are we going to build it in a traditional 3-act storyline, 3-act play? And you have to introduce characters and you set up the conflict and then resolve the conflict. All of those things you have to have structured before you start. It's like trying to build a building without any architectural vision. And you just start putting planks together and, we could put this plank over here. Oh, we could do it over here. There's a million ways to tell a story.
I mean, a lot of that was it's like building an airplane while you're flying. And it's like, we literally were already in the air. But it's we gotta have a plane to land this motherfucker, or we just gonna hit the ground. So it became a situation of how do we kind of reverse engineer but keeping in mind what you're saying, because I understand that, like, yeah, a lot of these decisions should have been made already. So are we too far gone? But I think we did our best with making decisions based on the script we had. The good thing was the story was pretty linear because it was his story. So this happened, and this happened, and this happened. So yeah, it was pretty linear for the most part. But there were some things, and based on how we shot, I think one of the scenes he had like the same outfit. But then technically when we went back to look at it, it was like, oh, really? In the actual timeline of real life, you weren't wearing that same outfit? Like, it would have been like a total different day. So now we had to kind of finesse certain things that weren't right. But I think we did an amazing job of tying a storyline together that kind of wasn't fully flushed out. It was a Pulp Fiction, really. It was just scenes. And we
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's what indie's all about. And again, Renee's got the advantage. And Renee, I want to talk to you about that because it is your story. And God bless you for not having the ego of it being your story. Because I've worked with a lot of people, songwriters, artists, people who were telling their story, and they will be in our face constantly about no, we can't change that. You're missing this, or take that out. I don't want to say that. Were at any point did you feel that angst? Did you feel like you wanted to pull the reins back in, or kind of force a direction?
Nah, one thing is I'm good at working with others, and I know how to check my ego. So if it's something that's making sense, it doesn't matter how I personally feel about it. It's better for the project. That makes sense. There's certain things I didn't want to say, certain things I did want to say, but it doesn't make sense.
Gotcha.
You know,
And what about the
you understand?
dialogue? I mean, is there dialogue that you said, I would never say that, or that's not how I would do that?
Yeah, there's certain things because it's my story and it's Maine. I wanted Maine, the main characters to sound like they from Maine. That's like my biggest thing. Like I want wherever they at, I want you to sound like you from there. Other than that, it wasn't so much like I wouldn't say that or yeah I would say that. It's also acting. You understand?
Yeah. Some of that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't take it too personal. Like it's mine. Like you said, I don't take it too personal and hold it out hard too much. Like no, I wouldn't say good afternoon. I would have said yo. Nah, if it makes sense, it makes it look better, sound better. I'm with it.
Good. That's amazing. What were you going to say?
also with that same point. For most of the scenes we shot, it was written by Rene himself, so it was already in his dialogue and his vernacular that he's gonna speak in. So there wasn't really translation that had to be done with that. I did. Me and my assistant editor, we went through the whole film and wrote voiceover templates that we wanted Rene to say. But we let him come in and basically we would give him the gist of what we were trying to say and say it how you would say it. So within those scenarios, it wasn't a script thing. It was just, okay, this is the direction we're trying to go in. Now, what would you say? And we kind of left it up to Rene so it would be authentic and it wouldn't be like, oh, he wouldn't.
That's smart.
Say
That's
that.
smart. I mean, you guys seem to have covered it all. There's so much I want to talk about. We're running out of time. So I want to give you guys a chance. Tell me, where is this project now? And where is it? What's your target for it? And let's start, I don't know, pick one. Either one of you, whoever wants to jump on that. Rene, you want to grab it?
Well, right now the pilot is on YouTube, and we basically aiming to get a production deal. So it could be Hulu, Netflix, whatever network or has the right deal for us. Then we're gonna go with that. But for right now, you can check it on YouTube, and that's gonna come off soon. We're gonna have to take it off YouTube soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have it on YouTube. Because a lot of Rene's following and his fans wanted to see it, so we put it on YouTube. We had a good amount of viewers come out and watch it. Our next steps is we're developing our 8 episode season. We already came up with our 8 episodes. We fleshed out the subplots. So we have subplots, we have main plots. We built this thing out. Our next steps is we want to flush out our pilot episode that we already shot. So there is 30 minutes, but we want to add another 15 to 30 minutes to it. The original pilot, we'll send it to you. It's mostly action, so we want to do a lot of dialogue on this back end and kind of develop these characters some more so we can understand the whys and the hows of what's going on. So that's truly where we're at now. And then in terms of the shopping process, hey, Netflix, Hulu, but even like some independent guys like Dame Dash has his own network. There's a lot of dope people out here that are doing content. We just want to get plugged into somebody who understands our vision and is going to let us still be the controllers of the vision. Even if somebody comes in and helps, we're still the forefront of the vision. We don't want it to just get picked up, and now it's a whole totally watered down version of our story. So
Yeah, having creative final is a it's a hard sell, and it's the right sell when it's your project. Rene, what's the reason for taking it down off of YouTube or only doing it up for a short period of time?
I mean, sooner or later, once we get the production deal,
Oh,
it's gonna
right.
have to go down.
No, I understand that, but so you're not going to
Yeah.
take it down until there's a deal. So just keep letting it build
Yeah,
its audience.
Let it build its audience. Cause like I have a platform of my own, and like I said, I started on YouTube. So a lot of my fan supporters, they always ask, "Yo, what's going on? I want to see something." That was basically for them. I did that for them. Like, all right, here's the pilot. You've been asking me for a project. Now you guys blow it up. I did my part. We did our part. So that's why I put it on YouTube.
Cool. That's great. That's great. Hey, I want to close, but I also want to tell you both sincerely, anything I or Faro City can do, which is a lot, maybe we have a little bit of a dialogue ourselves offline, and, you know, maybe I can fill some gaps for you guys somewhere. We can help promote it on, you know, via Faro City. But Faro City is primarily the industry. I mean, it's the industry at all outlets. So it's kind of a good place to get exposure when you're at this point. You know, once you move out into the general populace, that's outside of us. But here, within this time frame, we may be able to do some good things for you. Plus, maybe we can get you a couple of cranes and a couple of steady cams and some lights and
make it look bigger.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's a lot. You'd be surprised at how many people are out. I guess you wouldn't be surprised. There's so many people who just want to work from the heart and work on. You know, we call it projects of passion. That's what we use internally. I have to make X amount of dollars, and then I leave aside my projects of passion that I just want to do because I want to do them, and I always portion my life, professional life, out that way. Gentlemen, this has been awesome. I'm so glad I got a chance to talk and find out a lot more about you. Rene, this is my first, but definitely not the last time you and I will be talking. Josh, we'll continue to be best friends and continue to work together. Gentlemen, thank you so much. God bless you.
I appreciate your time, Joe, and it was nice meeting you. And we definitely gonna speak again. All right.
You got it. Ciao.
All right. Bless.
Peace.